Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we'll be talking about the hero TIGREAL. So TIGREAL is obviously a tank, so we'll be playing him as a tank here. This was a very difficult game and there were times where we thought that we couldn't win, but at the end we made a final push and managed to defeat the enemy and take their tower down. According to statistics, TIGREAL is one of the most commonly used tanks in rank. This is definitely because he is the tank that everyone starts out with and is one of the easiest tanks to use in terms of mechanics. This is my TIGREAL build. It's a fairly standard tank build. I like to use the Thunderbelt in conjunction with the cooldown reduction so that I can spam TIGREAL's skills. So there's really not much to say for TIGREAL, so let's just go ahead and get into the gameplay. So here you can see that I'm choosing my blessing. I tend to use the encourage blessing because it encourages my entire team and makes them slightly stronger, especially when we go into team fights. Some people might want to use the conceal emblem to hide when TIGREAL is coming, but I don't think that's very important in terms of surprise because his flicker trick is surprise enough already. So there are a few tank heroes that can actually disrupt enemies' hyper from farming in the early game, so TIGREAL is actually one of them. You can push the buff out of its jungle and reset the buff itself so that the enemy has to retake the buff from full health again. So if you're ever playing against a TIGREAL, make sure to take note of that. Always try to help your hyper defend or take the buff. So as a tank in the early game, you always want to roam around so they can try to get early kills. I didn't realize that the Cho had already taken the Sylvana, so that's why I went to the top lane. So instead of doing that, I went to disrupt the hyper farming again, but he was once again being babysitted by his tank. So it wasn't a very safe choice, but I still did it in the end. It's very useful to invade, especially if you're fighting against a marksman hyper, because of the fact that they need to farm a lot in order to get their core items to become very useful. So invading in early game is definitely a good choice. I just want to talk about a tip that I mentioned in my earlier videos. As a jungler, you should always try to farm as much as you can in the early game. Especially when you see that your team is invading and delaying enemy farm. Don't be a Hayabusa and go and clear the lane because that reduces all the gold and EXP that they try to delay the other enemy for you. The most important role in an entire game is the tank. The tank needs to have more map awareness and better decision making than the jungler. The tank is the one that initiates the team fight and soaks up all the damage and skills from the enemies so that the hyper can come in and get the kill. Unfortunately, our jungler was very bad in terms of map awareness in this game. He did not notice that the turtle was up, he did not even bother coming up. He continued staying in the bottom lane and we lost the turtle and lost the team fight. So like I said, it's the tank's job to actually initiate the battle. So over here I initiated, but I didn't realize that my Hayabusa didn't follow up. But like I said earlier, as a jungler in the early game, before 5 minutes you want to continue taking your jungle monsters so that you can keep your farm up. My Hayabusa was here chasing a Balmon so that he could get a kill instead of taking his red buff and the jungle creeps. This game is all about objectives. I don't know what the Hayabusa was doing here. On the map you could see 4 enemy heroes and the jungler had just died, so it was the best time to take the turtle. Instead of doing that, the Hayabusa decided to go to the top lane instead of taking his purple buff, did not take the turtle, and then tried to gank the Sylvana. There really isn't a point to do that because the Natalia was actually just protecting the lane. In contrast, you can see that the enemy actually took the turtle, took the objective and gained a huge goal lead. They have 1.5k in goal lead against our Hyper. I would like to reiterate here that if your tank is giving up his life to save you, then please just go ahead and run away. Don't put yourself in a position where both of you will die.
Team destroyed a turret. Our turret is under attack. Your team destroyed a turret.
This was a very frustrating game as our Hyper seemed like he was very clueless. You can see that he's recalling here on the map in front of the Gato Gacha. Focus on your farm, focus on your objectives, go and get your buff, clear the wave. Don't do these kind of things when your team is losing. It's important to let your teammates know when your flicker spell is ready when you're playing as TIGREAL because of the fact that your flicker spell can be used to initiate team fights. Especially in a team where you have a Hayabusa and Veil, it's especially useful because your ult can be combined with their ult to deal even more damage to the enemy. When you're a tank, it doesn't necessarily mean that you must die for the rest of your teammates. If you can, just save yourself, because you staying alive means that your team can continue to defend the towers and try to protect the entire base much better. Right here I made the decision to stay alive because I knew that they would take Lord and we needed someone to be alive in order to defend the base. Honestly, at this point, it seemed like the game was out of hand and we could not win anymore. But it was important to never give up. We could always still try to make a comeback. Sometimes it's possible that the enemy team, because they are dominating, they think that they can win the whole game. So they decide to let up and be cocky for a while. At this point, the Balmond could easily tower lock our entire team and he wouldn't even die because of the fact that Estes was there to heal him. But they didn't, so it gave us an ultimate fighting chance to actually come back against them. There are certain situations where as a TIGREAL you always have to use your ult. Whether or not there are a lot of enemies or not, sometimes it's better to use your ult even if it's one enemy, if it's vital for that point of the game. So at this point I needed to decide whether I wanted to go back to defend, but I saw that the Lord was coming out and Cho was already back in the base, so I decided to do what all tanks should be doing, to provide vision. It was important to provide vision at this point in time because the Lord was coming out. We want to push as many lanes as we can as possible, trying to see where the enemy team is so that in case there's a team fight that happens, we can win the fight because of the fact that we have the numerical advantage at this point of time. Once again, this game is all about decision making. If you're the Hayabusa, if you're the jungler, if you see that the Lord is out, don't go and take your buff. There's really no reason to take a buff. Go and push the lane so that you can take down as many towers, especially since you already have 3 inhibitors down. Towers are so important to defend your entire game. I cannot stress the importance of map awareness and decision making. Here you can see that my entire team just dove straight into the base, trying to get the kill. Instead, sacrificed 3 lives and we got no kills at all. Honestly, we would have lost this game had the entire enemy team came to the middle lane to try to push this lane. Because of the fact that they didn't, I could actually defend the lane against these 2 people and my Natalia could get the kill on their jungle. As a TIGREAL, if you are in this situation, focus on pushing away the minions, because without the minions, the enemy team cannot push properly. They cannot take the tower without getting hit. At this stage in the game, every team fight is important. If you see that your team is beginning to engage, especially near the Lord, then you should come and join straight away because of how important this team fight will be. Respawn times are more than 60 seconds now, and if you lose a fight in this case, you will probably lose the game. It was such a difficult game, but we still managed to beat the odds and come back. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the game, and if you like my videos, please like and subscribe.